after we go out of section 4?
Spooling.
What does that mean?
It means that things exist.
We're about to go.
How's my hair?
It means
live.
what? It was flowing when you came in, and now it's in a practical bun.
Do you want it flowing? What do you want for your people to see?
Think like an 80s music video.
So it should be more
Yeah,
flow.
like you should have like hair like you're about to crawl across the hood of a Trans Am.
I prefer it to
Such an 80s
A
video.
Corvette.
Oh wait, Zach, can we cheat this little shot, that other shot, like a slight bit this way?
How's
'Cause
this?
Yeah, there. Oh, it's huge.
Oh yeah.
That's like huge hair.
Well,
right?
hurry up.
I
My
can
hair
do
is going to fall.
Just there we go. A whoop.
How's my hair?
Just what?
It's going to get flat.
It's enormous.
It can't get flat.
It's getting
Look at
flat. It's enormous.
See?
It'd be
It's
long
enormous.
stocking when you took out
You
the
need to,
pigtails.
but also you need to have the microphone closer to you, because it's radio, and that's how it works.
Like
Okay.
here.
No,
I'm not
like,
actually going to
bring
say
it-
anything.
You're not? Then why are you here?
Just to bring my hair.
We could have done the show 2 hours ago, but we waited for you.
Commenters, welcome.
Somebody
In your
told me it was
comments,
gonna be
there's something
later.
that's very important. Hannah does not have an H
Oh.
at the end of it.
Not a palindrome.
When commenting and using my wife's name, you spell my goddamn wife's name right.
But I do
What was
like
that?
other
What was that movie?
palindromes.
The Other Guys. Where he goes, and her name was Christineth. He's like, Mark Wahlberg's like, I'm sorry, Christina. And he goes, Christineth! That's Christineth.
Are you going to yell the whole time?
Yes. It's my show. That's why the ads get sold. Because I yell the whole time. Zach is involved in the internet.
Cool. I'm just checking
Does
how
the
it sounds.
audio works okay?
People say it sounds good.
Corporate
Sounds good
Lexi
to
Bell?
me.
Oh, how interesting. That's a comparison to a porn star, baby. That's
Really?
good. Yeah.
It's my hair.
I love it. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I'm
Like
flattered.
Lexi Bell, but with a straight job.
And there's no way that could be a palindrome.
Lexi Bell?
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, well, this is the show.
Now what do you guys want to talk about?
Zach's adjusting levels.
Okay.
I like how Hannah's got a lower C. Hannah's got a little lower third.
Hannah's got a lower
Just
third.
Hannah.
We brought her volume up a little
Just
bit.
Hannah. Hannah, Twitter.
This is a
Let the
professional
hair
organization.
speak. Let the hole speak.
This is the most
Is Hannah
body my
gonna be
hair
the
has ever
hole?
had.
I told you about the hole. You're not the hole, though.
I was voted funniest in high school.
Were you?
Yeah. Do you not know that about me?
No. I need to see more of your yearbooks. All right.
Yeah. I didn't talk to anyone in high school, though. I'm not sure how that happened.
It was ironic funniest. It was like
Funniest of the photography group that developed in the darkroom.
it was
Party of two.
You were the funniest person on the yearbook staff.
According to my brother, it was clearly funniest looking.
Hey.
Oh,
Did
I
he
see.
write that joke when he was 12? He did.
Yeah, that sounds right. All right, it's the show. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Sweating.
Yeah, right. That's what
Yeah.
happens. That's why we make this room cold. We make this room a couple degrees colder than normal because the second people put on headphones and start talking, they're like, "Why am I sweating? These are LED lights. I shouldn't be sweating, but they are. It's weird how life works like that."
I was sweating more because of the discussion about my high school life.
Let's get into the friendships.
Let's-
Or lack of.
Didn't
that
have
you
many.
Had. Right.
I slept a lot.
How do you feel about it?
I did. I slept.
I slept a lot.
I got
in high
tested for
school.
mono multiple times because of how much I slept
That's
in high
hilarious. There should be a sliding scale. I was tested for mono no times.
And you always had this
Nobody was ever concerned that I had mono.
school. Well, because you're the age
Also,
difference
because you got it by
between
kissing
us.
and people didn't want to kiss me. What?
The age difference between us, like if I slept, I had mono. If you slept, you had depression and had to go see a therapist. Like that's our age difference.
Yeah. Gen X's had
Yeah.
mono. Millennials need Adderall. We need a prescription. Anyway, we were on vacation. We were supposed to still be on vacation. Mm-hmm. But some weather ended our vacation a little early. I'm not really sure why. In our original plan, I had us coming home today, but it seemed like even without the weather, we would have made it home a day early.
We were ahead of schedule.
Were we?
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't have been home 2 days early.
I guess so. That's true.
But we were worried we'd be behind, which I think we've done before, and then we overdrive the first 2 days, and then we're
Right.
actually ahead.
I guess that is what happened. What the fuck were we doing? We Hannah and myself and Zach and his girlfriend as well, and Timmy and his dog and Zach's dog. We went on a road trip. Backcountry Discovery Route, it's called. We've done them before. That's literally what they are called, the Backcountry Discovery Routes. If you go to ridebdr.com, you can get a variety of maps, predominantly meant for like adventure touring motorcycles, but totally suitable for cars.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
But like, who named the backcountry discovery routes and makes the maps? Because it's not the BLM.
No, Butler
not.
is the name of the company.
Right.
They're a pretty well-known company for making these maps that are for motorcycles to find like fun roads. Like before there was Google Maps, like people would look to companies like this to make enthusiast-oriented driving tours of places. So they adapted it to off-roading.
So they used like BLM maps, Bureau of Land Management, and they went, okay, these are all the publicly accessible forest roads. Let's go explore them. And over what I can only imagine are many, many years, they figured out how you could go from, for California,
one end
Mexico,
of a state to the
northern
other,
California, using open BLM roads that are open most of the year. And then they just connect them all with gas and everything like that and write it down and then da-da-da-da-da.
California is the only one where it doesn't actually cover the entire state because it's a big enough state that you could divide it in half. All the other routes, and Zach, go back to the routes are Wyoming. Wait, shit. Hang on. Just hide the thing. Wyoming, Northeast, Southern California, Mid-Atlantic, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, Colorado, and Washington. We've now done Washington, Utah, and California South. And it's they're in general like really well marked, well laid out maps, and you can download the GPS tracks actually for free.
Yeah.
To your smart device, and then we got some shanty app for free called GPX Tracker, and it just pulled up the files. And that was that. And you had to do, you have to do like a reality check with the paper map and the thing, but that gives the co-driver something to do.
Well, and I think we've learned you want redundant systems on this. Because if your phone dies, you want to have a paper map. Paper map is only so specific. If you zoom in, it's not like it doesn't track you as you go. So this is like, the tracker shows your dot moving, but if you get off of that line, at least on the cheap map, it doesn't show you what you're on. It's
no,
just
that's
like,
true. You're either on the line or on the void. But that's fine. When you have a map and you have a digital thing, like you don't have service on your phone, but you still get the dot.
Yes.
And so as long as the dot is moving on the line, you're good. And you can compare the shape of the route to the map shape, and it's pretty well marked. It's pretty well laid out. You don't have to be any kind of a navigational genius to compare map to tracks.
No, we'd be dead if you did. It's pretty simple.
And you don't need a particularly hardcore vehicle to do any of them.
True. This was, I think, the easiest one we've done in terms of terrain. I think this was definitely the easiest one. So
there's a couple of sections in the map.
That wasn't what you said on the trip.
I said that multiple times on the trip, and I was like,
I think it was too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely the washboard was the most abusive.
That was annoying, but it wasn't technically difficult.
It was not technically hard, but there's sections on the map.
But every time we got to a road that was like, just like dirt, but packed, you said, this is what it was like in Washington, or like, this is what it was like on the other one.
But there were also much tougher, like actual, like kind of rock crawls as well.
Okay.
I think if we went on some of the more difficult trails. So like Zach was driving this F-150 hybrid, which he's making a video of with the power boost, the generator thing built in, super cool stuff. I was driving with Hannah in this Sprinter 2500 4x4 camper built by off-highway vehicles out of Salt Lake City and provided through Warner Vans, which is a rental outfit. So it was the short wheelbase, so the most maneuverable van with no mods. no performance mods aside from tires, factory ride height, factory everything.
Which is amazing because it looked lifted when it
Right.
showed up. It had way more ground clearance and approach angle and clearance than the
But like,
Ford.
remember when we filmed the one that Spinelli drove around in Texas? Like that one had standard tires on it, and it seemed like it's fucking on stilts or something. It looked kind of weird with normal tires.
Right.
It looks normal when you put these 32s on there, and then. It has a modular bed. It had a sink. It has induction burner, which is a fucking game changer for RVs, by the way. Induction burners for the win. And it had 30 gallons of water, solar panel on the roof, a separate standalone heater, and a 110 inverter with a hot water heater. It had the basics, but also kind of a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty comfortable.
And then Timmy brought an
mostly
06
comfortable.
4Runner stock, but with a 1-inch lift and 32s.
Yeah.
To show us that you
champion.
really don't need much of anything, which Hannah liked a lot.
I did.
Dude, it was
Well,
I drove it. It was great.
I liked driving alone for a few hours. That was really nice.
I liked being away from my husband. He was driving me nuts.
But for my first off-road experience, the experience of it in that van is a lot different than the experience of it in Tim's car.
Mm-hmm.
Like things in the van that like sent me flying off the seat in Tim's car were just a small bump.
Yeah.
And so that's why I liked it. I missed you the whole time though.
Of course.
His 4Runner ride's really nice. I mean, he has he has 33s or 2s that he aired down a little bit, but he has off-road suspension. I think he's had it in that setup for like 60,000 miles.
Yeah.
So he kind of has it dialed, and it rides great, and it feels there's no squeaks in there. Everything feels new. It's amazing. So it's just it's really set up for what we were doing.
Yeah. It was hard. I found out after the fact that for optimum off-roading in this van, because it comes with 68 PSI in the tire. That's the road setting.
All right.
And they said, I found out after the fact, I did not get a recommended tire pressure for off-roading. And, Tim was going for like 18 in his truck, but like no one thought that kind of pressure was a good idea in this van.
Right.
Now when you're starting at 68.
And when we were pulling air out of the tires, we didn't have cell service to Google this. So we were all like, we have to be air on the side of caution.
Right. So we went down to like 52, which was a significant improvement, honestly. But I found out later that the recommended off-road pressure is 25, which would have been a substantial difference, except they also said don't go more than 5 or 10 miles on the tarmac at 25, which the problem with this trail for that kind of situation is that it's like 40 miles of dirt and then 30 miles of highway transit and then 50 miles of dirt and then 25 miles of highway. Like there's enough highway where if you stop to air down and air back up and air down and air, like it would be a real difference in the amount of time you're spending doing that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you don't have a really beefy compressor.
Right. Yeah. But I don't know. How do we talk about this trip? Like, what do we even say? Like, it was fucking cool.
Yeah. Like, why do we do it? I mean, I think it's a really special thing every time we've done it because we get to see more of a state than pretty much anybody else will. Even if you fly over it, you see it in 2 seconds. You don't get to take it in. And if you walk it, go backpacking, you'll cover a tenth maybe of what we will in 2 weeks. But you kind of get the best of both. We get some highway stuff, and then we also get to go on dirt roads that not many people travel that take you to peaks or valleys or forests that no one had ever seen. Like the Joshua Tree Forest we saw.
That was awesome.
That was amazing.
It has 10 times more Joshua trees than Joshua Tree National Park,
Yeah.
which both you and Sarah have been to and confirmed. And this is like just down a little dirt road that nobody knows about.
Yeah. It was like it's outside of Prim, right?
Yeah.
It was
Mojave.
end of in the Mojave Preserve, end of leg 3, right? End of leg 3, beginning on the way into Prim, right? It was like around here. And it was the densest Joshua Tree forest that I've ever seen. Hole in the Wall campground is where we stayed. That was a lovely campground.
Yeah, it was.
We stayed at some really nice campgrounds. The Mojave and Death Valley campgrounds are really, really nice. What was it?
Mesquite Ranch was the nicest.
Mesquite Spring.
Sure.
Well, if you're going to recommend something, recommend the right name. People can be Googling Mesquite Ranch and DMing me for 6 months. Like, what was that fucking campsite your wife got wrong?
DMing you. That's the best part of that.
Yeah.
Not me.
Don't give them the wrong answer to go off. Come on. It was called Mesquite Spring, and it was in Death Valley. So the whole trail is like 900 miles, and it's divided into, I think, 8 sections. We did sections 3 through 7, which is pretty much like the meat of it. If I were to do it again, because we just didn't have time to do the whole thing, I would have focused on the more northern parts pretty much exclusively. Mm-hmm. And I also think, like, sorry, baby, if Hannah wasn't here, not here in this room, on the trip, I might have tried to
what
do.
Would you say if she wasn't
no,
here?
There's some sections that are more difficult. Like you were saying, the other trails were harder. And I don't remember when we did those trips, the last ones with the shit boxes. And I'm talking about All Cars Go to Heaven 1 and 2. I don't remember if we did like the hard parts of the trail in the shit boxes, or if we did the easy trails, but the trails were just harder in general. I don't remember
either. Because I know, Hannah, I did say that a lot of the roads on this trip were similar in shape to Utah and Washington. But I think one of the differences is that in Washington, because they get so much rain, a lot of the normal roads had these like cuts into the road where water had clearly flowed, so you had to straddle them in the cars. Otherwise, if you drop a wheel in there, you could get stuck. Mm-hmm. And then in Utah, when we were climbing into like some of the Red Rock canyons, there were just rocks on the road. Whether sand had been washed away or not, I don't know. So I think it was just because of the environment, it made simple terrain a little bit more difficult. Whereas here, it's super dry in the desert we're in. So once they flatten that road every year, however often it is, I think it just kind of stays that way until it gets flooded again.
Yeah. Whereas we need to figure out if there's a commenter that really knows how washboard becomes formed on these desert roads. I thought...
Well, you diet well and you do a lot of crunches.
I thought...
Stupid joke.
I thought it's just a combination of the forces of tires on the road, and even if you're moving on a loose surface, even if you're moving at a constant speed, your drive wheels are moving some of that loose surface.
Yes, they are.
Even if you're moving at a constant speed.
Yes.
Even if you're not turning or braking.
Yep.
A combination of that and wind. But like, I'm not really sure how washboard is formed. But washboard is one of those things where if you look at a photo of the road, you'll just go, oh, it's just a dirt road. There's no boulders, there's no big holes or whatever. But the difference between a 2-inch washboard and a 3-inch washboard and a 4-inch washboard is the difference between, okay, I can go 30 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour down this, or I can go 5. And that's going to be the determining factor in how far you can go, in a day.
Absolutely. And sometimes if you go a little faster, it smooths it out, but sometimes it definitely doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shakes everything. It doesn't feel good to drive on. You immediately realize like where the rattles in your car, or how have you stored things, or in your case, how secure are various parts of the car.
Hannah's first day of off-roading was fucking terrible.
I think my first 36 hours.
The first day and a half were terrible?
Because it included that Powerline Road. In that first 36 hours. Powerline Road is where I was crying.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
There's a road leading out of Prim that just looks like a fire road. And in fact, it's marked as the easy route. Mm-hmm. It's compared to some very steep, rocky, sandy climb up a mountain. And it's marked as the easy route. And it's literally dead ass straight. Oh, there it is.
Is that it?
That is it. It is dead ass straight.
That is very deceiving.
And just Zach's got it pulled up in between some power lines, and it's just a road that services the power lines.
Yep.
And it's probably, 15, 20 miles of almost perfectly dead straight road. There's a couple little kinks in it, but it's dead straight. So even at 30 or 40, it's a pretty... And it's right next to, if you're looking at the video right now, it's this giant solar array, which you see when you go to Vegas, right? So as you're driving down this road, you are literally seeing the same thing you would see on the 15 freeway going to Vegas.
Yeah.
So you don't have a view. It's just a road to get back to the good stuff. And that road is washboarded to the point where 5 miles an hour is the speed of travel.
Yeah, that was the
the
biggest
longest
washboard
hour
I've
of
been
my
on.
life.
Yeah, it was a really, really rough. And we learned the difference. We learned that here's a piece of advice. If you're building an overlanding van, you need mechanical locking cabinets. Magnetic locks seem like a good idea, and for a boat, they're usually okay for like a boat that's not going to be in some really rough stuff, or for like a RV that goes on just the road. The magnetic locks are okay, but if you're going on on off-road anything, you need a mechanical locking cabinet because picture this. 15 seconds into Powerline Road, all 3 food cabinets are flung open, and every food item that we have, dry food item that we have bought, is sent across the van because it's tall. So if you hit a hole, it just goes chung and just...
Yeah, this is why lacrosse works. This is why you can throw a ball further with lacrosse.
Yes, everything in the van high-lies across the van, bank shotting across the sliding door. And Hannah's first off-roading experience involved in cleaning up a propelled bottle of olive oil and a propelled glass jar of like natural liquid. You know that peanut butter? It's like
I buy it every week.
The natural
I
peanut
literally
butter.
do.
The liquid
Yeah.
Laura Scudder's natural
like the
shit.
inch of oil up top.
The inch on top
But
is just oil.
The olive oil, though, you have to understand when the first mystery wet came up on the bumps.
Because the bottle spun,
It
spun and
So
flung.
you guys got hit with a mist.
It was in my it was in my
You're
hair,
like Paul
but it
Rubens
had
in a movie
no
theater, and you're like, "What's that on my ear?"
It's like
no
soda?
scent.
Is it
No, it's
rain?
warm.
Do I feel rain in the inside?
Well, I
right
thought
now?
I was sweating. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, I've sweat a droplet. The gravity has fallen out. The
You went over
droplet
a bump.
is here."
The
and
droplet went up.
yeah,
Wow.
hit me in the face.
And
Because
then I
it
was
had
like,
no smell. That was the problem with it. It was just like, what is this liquid? And then you're all, why am
then
I
it was
so
all over.
greasy?
and then I found the cap. And you know what a cap to an olive oil bottle looks like. It's a very distinctive cap. And I found the cap, and I just went, oh no. Oh, and when you find the cap, you can imagine this thing just glugging out, And the olive oil bottle was then discovered wedged in between the couch and the wall,
Terrible.
pointed down.
Holy shit.
No cap. Pulled it out, empty. So there are 20 ounces of olive oil somewhere in this van.
But some of it was in
my
greasy
God.
handprints on the back of our seats,
Yeah.
because before we knew that it was olive oil we were dealing with, I'd pick something up and then be like, Matt, what's this? And
Oh
like,
god.
Oh. Then, how long
The call
was it,
over the radio was bad.
baby,
It was-
how long was it in between
well,
the
I
olive
think
oil
what
and
Matt
the peanut
forgot
butter?
to mention
Oh,
is
not
before.
long.
No, it was
Not-
not.
I mean, was
long.
it maybe 5? Was it
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Not even
10
No,
minutes.
but Matt forgot to mention before the olive oil was the slow drip of Skittles falling down one by one because I bought a bag of those Skittles that had no color at all.
Mystery
That's a
Skittles.
thing.
Mystery Skittles.
Oh, so each flavor you don't.
Yeah.
Yes, because
You
every
learn how
flavor
similar
is a
and
rainbow.
different we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, underneath
I
the
bought
color,
it-
we're actually all the same.
It's for
genetically.
the I don't see color, folks.
It was at the dollar store in Barstow where I bought the barbecue skewers, let's be clear. And I had bought them, had 3 of them, lost interest, and put them in our food cabinet. And the first few projectiles in the car, I was like, what are these? But they had no color. So I was like, oh, there's pebbles in the car. Like, that's what this is pebbles. And then it was just the slow,
And it's that scene in
continual
Tommy
skittle.
Boy where he turns and all the fucking they all roll out.
Wait, what rolled out? In
Is
that?
it Tommy Boy or Black Sheep? It's Tommy Boy, where he puts the M&Ms on David Spade's dashboard and they all roll into the
they roll
vents.
into
Yeah. So the olive oil incident that really put a damper. This was Hannah's birthday, and I started Hannah's birthday by giving her van back, which was a ruse that
I
I
cried
kept
twice
up.
that day.
Yeah,
One
one
out of
up and one
happiness
down?
and one out of depths
So we gave
of
Hannah her
despair.
van back. Go up, Zach. It shows the stairs. That one where you can see the stairs. That's it. I gave Hannah her van back, and it was a ruse. And people were. I was setting up the ruse by doing a bunch of things, including talking about it being totaled and sold on this podcast. So everybody was party to the ruse. I didn't tell anybody about it, but we started by giving her van back.
Can I just interject? Sorry. My favorite part of the van back moment, well, not favorite part of that moment, that was the van, but is where that video is, in me crying, hugging you, is the same place where when your dad surprised you at the WCCS opening and you saw him and were crying. And now I really like the idea that that's like the crying
because Clinton
spot.
shot both videos and he only has one move. Clinton only has one directorial move. And it's to hide behind Eric's desk and then follow into the cathedral room. That's his move. And it's worked twice. Once on me and then once on you.
Look at it. It's so pretty.
Shout out to Beverly Coachcraft. Killing the game. Got it back. And I got Chris Jacobs, the host of Overhauling, to approve of the ruse. So we started there. And then later in the day, that very same day, after a 3-hour highway transit and then, some very, very easy off-roading, the olive oil and then the peanut butter. And the peanut butter was a 16-ounce glass jar that Bank shot it off the door into the exact same place.
1,000,000 shot.
You know in Robin Hood Men in Tights where he shoots the arrow into the other arrow?
Yeah.
That was this.
Yeah.
You couldn't write this. And it went in between, that same spot, in between the couch and the side of the van. Except now you've got shattered glass that is jammed into there by force and liquid peanut butter. Now, now you go, Matt, what else is in between the couch and the wall of the van? It's funny you mentioned that. A whole bunch of really important wires that go into that box. And inside that box is the batteries and the brain of the whole inverter system and all that.
Right. Yeah.
And when you open the box, there was peanut butter and glass coming through along the cables to the inside.
It was like a frozen waterfall.
It was
but,
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And the radio calls were amazing because like I'm behind you in the truck and we all just come to a stop and that's fine. Sometimes it's for a picture or whatever, and it's just olive oil has flown out of the cabinet. And I'm just like, that's a mess because this is dust. You've basically made tar. And then 5 minutes later,
oh, by the way, everything else came out too.
Oh, yeah.
So the olive oil came out and got all over the floor and everything, and then all our other food landed in it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the olive oil had to be washed off of everything else.
Yeah.
And then there was the peanut butter.
And then there's the peanut butter, and I know how heavy that is. I was like, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
That is a dangerous problem. Yeah.
But it also should be noted that at that point in the drive, I was like, Matt, you drive, get us to this place. I'll be in the back cleaning the olive oil. And that's when the peanut butter went past my face on the fly.
It could have been bad.
It could have tagged her.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
That was...
So the lesson is mechanical latches.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
You need. And also, in hindsight, I mean, not in hindsight, but in absence of mechanical latches, PSA, put your toilet paper and your underwear up in those bins and keep your food on the floor or as low as possible.
This is like, it shows our inexperience in doing this, but also it's like, okay, that is user error. But I saw the peanut butter up there when they parked it.
How many times have we taken...
I swear to God. I saw it, I was like, hey, awesome. I didn't think that should go down below.
Yeah, and like we've now gone on multiple boat vacations where you pack a boat for a turbulent day, and stuff doesn't really go flying. So it's not like, it's inexperience for sure. There's definitely some inexperience there.
2 other things, though, that you need to bring in the absence of mechanical locks.
All cleaning supplies, every cleaning supply you could think of.
Ziploc bags for everything should just be in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Pickle juice incident, that brought up one thing.
Yeah, we also... and the coffee.
The box of sugar that exploded, that even if we'd had mechanical locks, that it wasn't going to be contained in there. And
that exploded in the cabinet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it snowed.
And every washboard.
It snowed.
Yeah, Ziploc bags.
Ziploc bags and a better, like a dust buster of some sort.
You need a vacuum.
Because turns out a broom, sugar, peanut butter, olive oil
Well,
and also
most of these things, you need a pressure washer,
Yeah.
like a heated one.
And when people make things rugged, like your off-road van doesn't have a smooth fake wood floor like an on-road van would have. It has a rough, either it's like a bed liner or it's some kind of rubber.
Grippy
Right. You can't
when
really
it's wet.
sweep that. You need to vacuum it. You just sweeping it doesn't really work.
Air compressor,
Yeah.
something like that. That would work.
But
it
like
was a fucking mess, and the road had no payoff. That was the big problem.
That was the worst.
Road. It wasn't like this is because we've done these trips, and it's been difficult but exciting. Part of that's because we're in ship boxes, so I think we lost that excitement of will this make it?
Yeah.
And this is funny and brutal. This was just brutal, and all we're looking at are power lines, and then which you can see
power
from
line.
the 15, and then we got. That ended at a tarmac road that took us to the beautiful place, but we're like, well, fuck, we could have taken the 15, gone off at exit 7 or whatever, and then just driven on this thing.
Yes. That's... Well, and that also is another...
And this road would be exciting if you were on a motorcycle. It would probably be difficult, and I found a forum of these guys, like, dirt bikers, like, has anybody ridden this road? And everyone's like, yeah, I do it at 90 miles an hour. Like, they blast across it like a wolf.
If you were on a trophy truck, it would be different.
Right.
If you're in, like... Because, like... When you're off-roading, like, the motions of an off-road vehicle are no big deal if that vehicle isn't also your house. Right. You know, like, I've been in, you know, you watch any of our off-roading videos, and you get whacked back and forth a whole bunch. You're on fucking two wheels. You know, you get bounced around, and it doesn't really matter. Why? Because it's not also your bed and your kitchen, you know, and that's just a thing about like overlanding vans in general. Like, you can make a van that can like do fire roads. Like, don't get me wrong, like the Sprinter 2500 4x4 is comically capable. Like, it's awesome off-road, but shit gets banged around and thrown around and tossed around, and like that could be very.
You have to really plan for that.
Yeah.
And really think about, and like when you pack those bins under the bench, like don't leave space because then the things can move under there. You have to fill those gaps. Don't have like when I put the pickle jar, which I thought was going to be fine. I tried to separate it from the jam jar because I'm like, if these vibrate together, that's going to smash.
Yes.
And of course, the jar leaked because it's a shitty jar. Because why wouldn't it on this trip?
Yeah, we managed to not smash the wine bottles and stuff. Those were fine. Those were wrapped up but it's. I mean, this is when you spend a lot of money, and this van is like $180,000, and it's pretty entry level. They go up, like it's still like it's still a pretty confined space you're working in. It's only one bump up from tent camping at that point. You have to go to another level to take it the next bump up from tent camping, and that removes your off-roadiness because. You know,
if you got the long wheelbase van, you probably wouldn't be able to do some of the roads we had some pretty tight turns on.
Yeah.
So you might not be able to make those turns.
Right. So it was cool. Like it just basic off-roading can be not super tough on a vehicle, but pretty tough on a house is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's really the gist of it. But like the top part of this trail, the part that like the northern half of the part that started in Death Valley and went up to like Lone Pine, that was like fabulous trails. That Titus Canyon,
that was amazing,
kick ass, and that last trail we did over what was that trail called? Over the trail, the one into Lone Pine.
Here.
Whatever that was.
Over Hunt Mountain.
Henry
right?
Wade.
It's 4
Yeah,
or
the one
5.
by Hunter Mountain of the trail section
one,
6
sorry.
and 7.
It left it out of racetrack.
Yeah, the racetrack was real cool.
Yeah, Hunter Mountain to Saline Valley.
Yeah, the trail both to the racetrack and then Hunter Mountain to Saline Valley. Those trails were awesome. And really any new off-roading vehicle could make it through those trails.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Those two trails were totally
could have
fine.
made those trails.
That's true.
For sure. I mean, nothing we did, I'd say, required a lot of clearance.
That muddy section, that like quarter mile of deep, nasty, wet. It rained in the desert, which provided us a unexpected condition. Yeah.
How come, or maybe not how come, one of the things I was most impressed about was like clearly that piece of road sucked, but people were going through it and just making it work and going like, well, this is the road condition. I'm on it. But like, it's just desert on either side of us. Like, why don't more people, or again, not why don't more people. I'm very happy that more people don't just go like, fuck it, I'm driving up on the plants over here and driving around that. Like, I was very surprised that everyone was like, no, it's the road.
Well, it would be super illegal to do that.
I know that, but still, people
I think
are jerks.
off-roading people are not as much jerks as you think.
Good.
There's a lot of people that like to go off-roading that do still show some like respect for the fact that you're in it. Like, I think the racetrack is literally in Death Valley National Park. Like, I think it's part of National Park. So I think going off the road would be very, and also that particular terrain, there's no telling that right off the road would even be drier. Like, the reason that road was wet because it was kind of a valley that had collected the rainwater and it had started drying, but this was the deep part, so it was still wet. And it just turned into this nasty mud, soft sand.
Yeah, I mean, if you went off the road, you might actually get stuck
faster
and be fucked. Like in Death Valley, where we stopped and there were that weird like dry lake bed, but it was more like these weird globule things. If you drove off there, you might be stuck. But I bet tourists do it now and then because like, oh, I'm gonna get a shot of my car out here, and you're like, and then you're done.
Oh man, we love watching people from our house drive onto the beach. They fuck up and they just drive, and sometimes they don't make it very far, and sometimes they make it pretty fucking far. Did I send you the picture of the guy that Hannah saw? This mother drove out there in like a RAV4, probably got like 60 yards onto the sand, far, really far, and then just got out of the car, grabbed her kids, and just started walking towards the ocean. Left the doors of the car open.
Left the door of the car open. It was actually kind of an alarming sight.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, I was there with the binoculars I'm watching you. But it was one of those, though, I couldn't tell, like, after I decided they wanted to live, like, was this a mistake or was it just like, I've had enough of your fucking screaming, kids. Like, you want to go to the beach? We'll go to the beach, and just drove right out onto the beach kind of moment.
So, yeah,
that's what it seemed like.
I hope there was a catalyst, and it wasn't just a selfish like, I'm going to the beach, and parking lots aren't for me.
Yeah,
but just leaving the door open was and the keys
weird.
In the car. Like when the lifeguards came and started circling the car, they were so confused, and I was, of course, in the living room. Just
or there's always also drugs. Like you do, and hope someone's not like on acid or whatever with their kids in the car. But like
that seems like a pretty manic move. Yeah,
right, can happen.
Right.
Anyway, that muddy, sandy road that we did have to stay on, the van was such a beast on that road. It was just lock the diff and smash the throttle and don't stop. And it took me a very long time to clean the underside of the van yesterday. I used Marco's trick. I've got the sprinkler, the oscillating sprinkler, and you just throw it under there, walk away for 20 minutes, and then move it like 3 feet, walk away for 20 minutes. And it just slowly whittles away the mud. And I did it. It took me about an hour and a half while I was cleaning the rest of the van. But you just see it just like, it's like the van's like bleeding mud from underneath.
Yeah.
That move is super clutch.
That's very smart.
It's like $7 at Home Depot for that thing. It's super clutch.
Yeah, that was the only thing we hit that was like time to pay attention because we don't know how deep these muddy ruts are. We don't know if we're going to sink, how fast you have to go, how slow do you have to go, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you were in the front, and which is like, it is challenging because by the time when you went, I was in the back in Tim's truck. So I saw the van make it. I saw the truck make it. And I was literally laughing and saying, this is awesome, while slinging mud. But that's because I knew it wasn't going to be difficult. When you're in the front, you're like, I don't know what's happening. Is this be fucking quicksand?
Yeah.
We're going to get stuck. And so you just have to hammer down. And your goal is to just make it through. And then my goal is like, well, I'm trying to have fun because I know it's going to be okay.
And if the van gets stuck in that particular situation, like, there isn't enough grip to tow strap it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know what you would do.
I think we'd tow you backwards.
You might
if we
tow,
had to hook up both trucks to tow you, we could.
Yeah.
But I think because the Ford was in the middle, if we'd had to tow backwards, we probably would have been fine.
Maybe, yeah. But it was like the only bit of it where I was like, well, hopefully we don't spend the night here.
And you almost high-centered on the first day, right? You made a right turn, and then you had to like back up and lock the diff and then go. I mean, it was like a really minor thing in the sand.
Oh, no, yeah. You know what it was?
Part.
It was just deep sand, and I didn't realize that every time you restart the van, you have to turn the traction control back off. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, which in hindsight makes a lot of sense. But like, I just had gotten back in it and forgot. We got out to take a picture or something.
No, we got out for the olive oil. It was in between the olive oil and the peanut butter. I remember now because that's when I was like, and we have to live here.
You're like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Yeah. Hannah was so close to renting a like calling the helicopter tours from Vegas, like how much to pick me up instead of going to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what? Take me to the Grand Canyon also.
Yeah. No, and I told like at the end of that next day when she actually cried, when the peanut butter thing happened, that was a righteous cry. Straight up. That cry, I pretty much was like, you know what? You're right to be crying right now.
It came from deep inside.
This is a very upsetting. This is a very upsetting thing, and so I was like, I said to her, like, if you want to go home, like right now, or tomorrow morning, or whatever it is, like, I understand. We could bail right now. No harm, no foul, and fortunately, there was nothing left to break.
Right. Every day got better because we learned more, we figured more out.
And also the terrain
was already
got prettier.
The glass for the peanut butter was already in my hand. So
that's right.
And also that was the worst road in terms of surface. That incident. Yeah. The roads did get better.
They got better. The condition got better. They got prettier. The views got better.
Yeah,
etc.
Also, the first day. We were racing against the sun, not racing, but we wanted to like get to our destination with plenty of time to set up because we hadn't like cooked. Right. Matt had to assemble the barbecue that he didn't know needed assembly.
Yeah, right. Which actually ended up being really nice.
It was a great barbecue.
Yeah,
but that added to the anxiety of everything shattering.
Yeah, getting to camp before dark is always preferred. It doesn't matter how you're traveling because it just sucks to build shit and cook shit in the dark. So. Our food prep was great though.
Perfect.
I mean, the combination of when you've got power, either through the generator thing on your bed or the inverter in the van, when you've got a 110 outlet or multiple 110 outlets and an induction burner, and then a quick, easy way to make fire or grill, you can basically cook anything you could cook at your home kitchen. It's just there's just not a lot of room to work with.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely pack a full size prep table to set up outside the van because you don't want to be fucking chopping vegetables and shit in the van.
Yeah.
But like the combination of like you having a thing that can really efficiently either boil water or saute, and then we brought the rice cooker, you bring a slow cooker, you can bring a blender, and like stuff that you wouldn't normally have is easy to have and use.
I mean, you can make a meal that with meat, sides, all that stuff with 2 plugs and cooking on the grill. That's pretty legit.
Yeah.
If you need something more than that, don't go camping.
Yeah.
Take a break from like your 5-course meal.
Yeah.
Like really, if someone's like, "How do I souffle something?" Go fuck yourself. Just don't. Just take.
You know what we could have? What I would recommend bringing that we didn't. We didn't need for our trip, but if you were really going to do it, or is that like Breville toaster oven that we have? Seriously,
your hands are 3 feet apart.
To talk about
because we have this oven.
Camping
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
it's in our house. It's like a toaster oven.
Yeah.
But like, if you had one of those, because that thing is a real oven. In a rig like this, then you'd have a total kitchen.
I would say if you were traveling for weeks, yes.
Yeah.
But if you're doing like a few weeks, then just like,
all right.
But like, there's folks who would get this with a microwave in it, and I'd say fuck a microwave and get the toaster oven.
I agree with that.
What did you? When I was unpacking the van, I took out the 2 cork trivets.
Yeah.
What did you think we were going to need those for?
Well, that's a very good point. I don't know.
I thought it was such an interesting thing.
I thought
to include.
I didn't know maybe where we would have to put like a boiling pot of water maybe down on something, or I don't know, a hot skillet. I don't know. It's funny to think about what did I think I was going to use them for, but I'm not really sure.
I mean, I would have been useless packing because I'd never done any of this before.
Yeah.
But
I thought we did a pretty good job packing in terms of our kitchen tools. We had all the right kitchen tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one wasn't so hard, and we were able to like really efficiently charge all of our gear. And obviously, if you're doing a caravan, you must have walkie-talkies of a high caliber walkie-talkie is like 100% must.
Yeah, because you want. I think you want to have a mile or two of range with line of sight.
Yeah.
With no obstruction, and then once a mountain gets in the way, it's kind of like it's over really quickly. But even the radios we had for production, which were expensive, you put granite in between you and the other person, it's like okay, it goes away.
There's only so much you could do.
Yeah.
All right, there's a bunch of people who have things to say, and I'm sure this will drive conversation. So let's go to the folks, because they want to hear about Hannah, I think. MB is Frenchie. This guy, baby, this guy's all up in the comments, always.
Great.
Just so you know. He's excited. He's an excitable commenter.
I love a participator.
Yeah, she is a participator. He would do surveys for you, I'm sure.
Great focus group participant, I am sure.
Yeah. What would you say is your spouse's favorite thing to cook in the kitchen? Hannah's favorite thing to cook is that chicken and dumplings thing, the slow cooker chicken.
I don't know if that's my favorite thing to cook.
It's like the only thing you've ever cooked me.
Well, but I make
Hannah
a really good
pretends she
banana
can't
bread.
cook, but she really just doesn't like to.
Yeah.
Because she's not that creative in the kitchen, but she could follow a recipe perfectly. I'll come home every once in a while, and something will be made, and it will look exactly like the picture in the recipe. I'm
Sarah's
like,
the same
you
way.
can do this
Yeah.
shit.
No, I like
fucking
baking
liar.
because you have to follow everything to a T. Like it's a very specific cooking.
Right,
you know,
science.
Matt's always like a little salt, a little this, and that stresses me out. I can't start
Sometimes it doesn't work out.
that. I know.
What do they say? Baking is chemistry, and then
Yeah.
cooking's more like art.
Yeah.
What's my favorite thing to cook?
I mean, your favorite thing to cook is any meat.
I think the sauce might be my favorite thing to cook.
You think? I mean, I think that's very rewarding on the back end, but I
Yeah.
think the process of cooking a piece of meat for you.
Sure.
Like even when we were camping, cooking those steaks. Like I just sent Zach a picture of you at the barbecue. Like that's clearly your happiest place.
Sure. Yeah,
Of just being like,
I'm the grill guy.
I turned this over. You know, and that's really nice.
I turned this over pretty good.
That's hilarious.
I mean, that's what cooking steaks is, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Flipping.
You gotta know when, otherwise you fuck
Yeah,
'em
no,
up.
there's cooking steaks is there's a few steps to it, but yes, ultimately it's like, you know how video editing is just copying and pasting? That's how cooking steaks is just flipping. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's about where and when you
Yes.
where and when you flip.
Where and when you drop that clip.
Yeah. Dominic says, when is the best time of day to take pictures of your car? It's best time of day to take pictures of anything is called the golden hour. It's the last hour before the sun goes down. Yeah,
definitely.
That's and anything, whether it's people or houses or cars. That's the time. And I thought, what did they say? Suggestions for a first real camera?
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it said.
I don't. I mean, I mean, look, Canon doesn't make a piece of shit. So you buy a Canon DSLR, you know, we haven't bought anything besides GoPros
I know.
in a very long time. So
Follow Larry Chen. He will
Yeah.
give you all the advice on what you should get.
yeah, I'm sorry I can't be more helpful there. But we buy GoPros and we have mixed success with them.
Yes.
MB is Frenchie again. Has there ever been a time that my driving scared Hannah or a time that Hannah scared me? Hannah, have I ever scared you?
Well, we just had
Last
this,
week,
right,
off-roading,
yeah,
like
we just
2
had the
days
same
ago.
experience on one of Matt and my first dates. This was when Matt still thought like, let's go for a drive in the canyons was going to be a fun date for us. And we went up into the canyons and like Matt was zipping around doing the thing Matt did. And I did a lot of like clutching the handle, you know, the door handle and like putting my foot on an imaginary brake. And Matt turned and looked to me and said, I don't want to drive off a cliff. Like, I don't want to die. And it was so helpful for me to just be like, oh, right. Like, he's not an idiot. He doesn't want to
Yeah,
die.
Matt's a pretty
So this'll be okay.
risk-averse person.
I am.
He really
Yes,
is.
I know that. And I was even saying that on this trip. I know that. I know, like, he is so safety oriented. He just doesn't want to die himself. He cares about me, like, and how I'm feeling. Yet I was still terrified constantly on this trip. And that's very sad. But
You should have seen the difference in her mood if we were on one of the trails and the side of her van was against the wall or the cliff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that's it in
that's-
the
that's
canyons
a thing.
also. That's
Yeah,
it.
That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. Hannah's driving has never scared me. I really was impressed with Hannah's development as a road trip driver on our adventure drives trip in the Urus. At the beginning, she was pretty much driving just like someone who's only ever really driven to work and back and around. And by the end, she was really maintaining a high 90s pace and really using proper lane placement and looking really far ahead and, listening to the combination of V1 and Waze to the point where we got back into Los Angeles and I had to be like, we're in LA County now. You can't drive like this anymore. You need to slow down a little bit. And that was very impressive. No. Hannah, when Hannah's driving the Delica, though, which, it's a cab over, you're sitting in front of the front wheels. Your feet are the front of the car. There's only 10 inches of car, maybe, not even, 8 inches of car in front of your feet. And Hannah still leaves like an enormous gap in at a red light, like as if her car had the hood of a 1966 Cadillac there. You know what I mean?
Well, that's probably a habit. Like our vision, we're like, my head is supposed to be X number of feet from the car in front of me.
Right.
Even if there's no hood. You're just like, that's just how you do it.
Whenever I pull into any parking spot, Matt will always be like, 5 more feet.
Yeah.
5 more feet.
You can get closer.
5 more feet.
The Delica for sure.
Yeah.
And so that's her bad habit. It's not scary. It's just like, fill the gap.
Sarah drives with like the samurai sword grip, and I'm always like, nah, when you go, remember?
I'm sorry, what is
What's
that?
a samurai sword grip?
Like, the wheel is the wheel, and so like the left hand's down here for like a right hand turn. Like grab across and pull.
Oh,
and
like this.
Pull.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, but you've done drifting school, and how do you hold it when you do that? And she's like, well, 9 and 3. I'm like, do that all the time.
Yeah.
Just do it all the time.
That's just how you do it.
Because you can move your hands more.
Yeah.
Wait, one of the things Tim said over the walkie-talkies one day
Thumbs out.
was the thumbs out.
Yeah.
But I never asked about that. What does that mean?
Thumbs out is because, if you're driving your car, normally you can wrap your hands around the wheel,
right.
like Lego hands. But if you're off-roading, if you hit a rock or something, the force of the car moving forward, when the tire hits that rock, if the tire decides to go to the right for some reason, it will move that wheel far faster than you might be able to react. And if your thumbs are in the wheel, it could literally break your thumbs. And I've heard this before, and then I experienced it when I went and drove this old, like, lifted Alpha for a road and track story. And I was going 10 miles an hour in the sand. And I was just cruising forward, and I had my hands out. And all of a sudden, the right tire just, like, went into the sand berm, and the wheel spun twice, like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And the wheel had metal spokes. It was an old, like, prototypo. That definitely would have broken my thumbs. So I think it came from rally drivers back in the day. They're like, it'll cut your thumbs off. But that's why.
Got it.
Yeah. So you kind of, when if you were driving in the canyons, you would do this. But if you're driving in the off-road, you keep your thumbs outside of the
Well, when
wheel.
I was driving Tim's car, that just kept being in my head. And I was like, I'm not sure when I'm supposed to do this, but I guess I should just do this. But I never asked about it while we were on the road.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that you kind of stop thinking about after a while. It just becomes
After
habit.
you break your thumb?
Yeah, basically. Flannel Bob, what's the closest to death you've ever been in a car? And what car scared you the most? Closest to death? I don't know if I've ever had a closest to death.
Good. Fine.
I've never had a real big scary car accident, so I don't have a close. I mean, I got kind of like side tagged on a motorcycle. That's pretty. I didn't get hurt or anything, but it felt that's like
that'll make you.
That's where you're aware of how the difference
inside.
between your mass and a car's mass.
Yeah.
A car doesn't feel that heavy until it kind of hits you.
Yeah, your armored boots will not stop a car.
Yeah.
I was driving. There was a huge snowstorm in Colorado when I lived there, and I had my STI, and it snowed 2 feet in 24 hours. They closed school, they closed work, they closed everything, and like 4 days later, the snow melts, and the girl I was dating at the time was like, "I want to go get some stuff for my apartment," and I was like, "It's still not really safe." She's like, "No." So we're driving down the highway, and I'm just driving down the highway. It's mostly dry, and the right side of my lane suddenly has a patch of snow. And so the right side slows down, and all of a sudden the car just starts to spin. And it just spins clockwise, and I countersteer. It spins back counterclockwise, and I countersteer again. Like it's going toward the median, or the K-rail, and I spun back across the highway, did a full 360, and slammed into the snowbank that had been packed in. And my car slid in so far that half of the car was in the snow. Oof. Like it just went buried into the snow. And that was the scariest thing I'd ever experienced. And my friend came and towed me out. And as we're getting pulled out, a different car did the same thing, but went the other way. It went right, then left, and it smashed into the K-rail and just
on the other side?
on our side of the highway. He happened to rotate like right, left, right, or whatever. And that was...
And hit the rail instead of the snow.
Yeah, that was real scary.
The scariest cars, I've never been in any kind of like supercar or anything like that scared me. But for 2 years, I drove whatever home-built fucking shitbox I could get a hold of. And so there were a lot of people who really overrepresented the quality of their builds, either because they had no experience with what actual quality was or because I don't know why. But, you know, a bunch of those like exo-type cars that don't have body work and stuff like that.
The Camaro with three brakes.
The Camaro with 3 brakes. I mean, just shit like that. Just stuff that was just garbage, not like... Nothing has ever been so fast that it scared me, but things have been so terrible that they scared me. Hannah's car used to die if you let off the accelerator, her old...
No, that happened once, and then that car, but it was dead. But I was on the highway, and if I took my foot off the gas, the car just seized. And so I could only keep going faster. But my closest...
What do you mean it's seized?
Like, it just stopped. The wheels didn't stop, but like everything in the car just was like...
It would just turn off.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's like a movie.
And the movie part of that was...
Speed 3.
I called my sister, because I had one of those like phones in a bag at the time. It was in college. And I
And
called
like
my
not
sister.
a stick, so you can't just like, clutch. Yeah. It's like an automatic, so you have to actually go.
It was one of my Subaru station wagons.
Holy shit.
But I called Kate and was like, what happens when you can't take your foot off the gas of a car or everything stops? And then, of course, the phone like cut out. She didn't hear from me for hours.
And then Keanu Reeves showed up and like crashed through the window and he's like, you have to keep going.
Yes, that is exactly what happened.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Berman just took delivery of his dream car, an 86 911. Congratulations. The tires are date-coded 2017, so I need ones ASAP. If they're otherwise in good shape, I think you've got 12 months or so to go. Weekend drives on Angeles Crest, what tires do you recommend? If you've got an 86, assuming the wheels are stock, you're talking about 16-inch wheels. I don't know.
Yeah, what?
I mean, I don't know if you can get a PS4S in that size. Like, I'm not really sure. If there's a Sport Comp 2, maybe that would be good. If there's like a
16s,
I don't know who's making 16s.
I bet Federal makes a lot of tires that would fit that because the drift community, a lot like the 240s came with 16s. They might as well.
Vredestein might have a Hypertrack actually that fits that because they have the Giugiaro. They fit like Giugiaro 80s cars.
Yeah.
They have an 80s themed tire. I might look at a Vredestein actually. Yeah, but that's I'm sorry, I don't have that knowledge handy because like it's 16-inch wheels is
It's a really weird size.
Yeah. I know Pirelli makes reissues of their like old shit. Like on my Lamborghini, I have a tire that looks exactly like the tire, the P0 that came on that car in 1988, but it's like made of rubber from today. So you can get that too. From Pirelli for a variety of sizes if you want a period like look. Yeah. A swarm of dead insects. Paying in rubles? Is that what that is? RUB is rubles? Donate in rubles? Is
just rubies?
Is 449 rubles a lot? I literally have no idea what a ruble is. 1 Russian ruble is 0.1. Oh, so $7. Okay. 499 rubles is $7. Okay. Now we know. I think that might be our first ruble.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Check out OSM and app. It has open source offline maps. Okay, yeah, it supports GPX tracks. Yeah, no, Tim had like 2 other mapping programs. I forget which one he used that he liked.
Gaia,
I think it was called. Yeah, there's a few that support GPX tracks. Yeah, this one was free.
We don't do this a lot, so we wanted to go on a budget. And we were like, between having maps, Tim's thing, and this free app, I think we can make it happen.
Yeah, and one thing we did learn is that although I think they meant well, the BDR website is a little bit misleading in that it says there's sort of an instructional section on these tracks work well with Garmin GPSs. So we bought 2 different Garmin GPSs, but what they don't tell you is it only works with like the $700 off-road
the Overlander
GPSs.
Or the Maverick or something, Montana.
Yeah, you can't just download them into a regular Garmin GPS, which is a little frustrating. But there's apps, so like there's a workaround. Motozan says, are we familiar with Christoph Fenwick driving apparel? Is there a good or other brand you prefer? I don't mean to be condescending, but I've never felt the need to put on a specific item of clothing for driving. What are I don't know. Can you pull up their website? I've never heard of the brand. I'm sorry to say. Driving accessories. It's like gloves and shit. If your car doesn't literally have a steering wheel made of wood, if I see you wearing gloves, I'll be nice to you, but I'll laugh to myself later.
Could just be about sunspots on your hands.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's looking for shoes that
Zach
don't
wears
have the
those
brand
sleeves.
on them.
Oh, shoes. Driving shoes. Everyone who's a baller wears those Todd's loafers. They're like $500, but that's what everybody at Malibu Cars and Coffee rolling a chalk GT3 RS is rocking. The Todd's driving loafers.
I mean, just wear whatever is comfortable and
nice.
gives you good pedal feel.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I think if you wear driving shoes and you're not in a race, I think it's kind of silly. Like there are a lot of because you walk around, it's like wearing I don't know, ski boots if you're not skiing.
Yeah.
It's like they're not as comfortable to walk in. They usually fall apart if you walk on tarmac and stuff. They're meant for driving. That's my opinion. So like get some sneakers that have good pedal feel and also work really well.
When I did food research, one of the questions you always ask someone as they're eating something, like a pudding or a Slim Jim or something, is like how you ask about the mouth feel. Mm-hmm. That's like a very specific line of questioning for food research, and I really like the idea that then there's also pedal feel.
Oh yeah,
it's a very I'd like to do the research on that.
Well, pedal feel is both the feel of the pedal itself, and then what buffer have you put in between your foot? So are you barefoot? Or are you wearing a driving shoe with a very thin sole? Or am I wearing like my New Balances or whatever? And I don't really feel I can drive the same in anything. But if the shoe is too narrow, I actually can't operate the two pedals at the same time properly.
If the sole's too thick and stiff, though, it can be very hard to like feel anything.
Well,
like hiking
if
boots
it's
or
a
something
hiking
like that,
boot or something, yeah. But if a short, I've pretty much got the New Balances down.
Yeah,
they're all right. But like if I was really doing like a 12-hour dry day where I was only driving, I might consider a roll heel type of shoe because my heels
really
heels in New Balances. If I drive for 12 hours, my heels will start.
It gets hot, right?
Yeah.
I got the Tigers, and the first time I bought Tigers, Harris saw them and he went, "Got to get the rolled heel." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I noticed you get like a hot spot, so you need the rolled heel.
Exactly. JR says, I'm in my third week of writing auctions for Bring a Trailer, and I wanted to thank you for the advice to just make a way happen. To get into the enthusiast car business. All right.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Saw a job listed. I saw that listing 3 weeks ago. Congratulations on your job, and you are now in the enthusiast car industry.
Nice.
You now have a business card. You go to any car show and you say, I'm JR, and here's my Bring card. It says Bring a Trailer on it, and guess what? They know what that means.
Yeah.
You
That's
are
so
in
cute.
the club. Kawato, which is an awesome username. I hope that's from Total Recall. Question for Hannah. Advice for a recent developer graduate having a hard time getting interviews. Do they think you're like in tech? They might.
I mean, look.
Hannah works at Twitter, but she's not like in tech.
No, but I think that's a question about anyone trying to get interviews. I think the thing that I would say is it's super annoying to do, but like work all the angles. Like the people right now, like I just posted a job listing in Ghana, and I'm getting people writing to me on LinkedIn, getting people who figured out the Twitter email, getting people who figured out like who, runs design and research and reaching out to them. I think that's just what you have to do now is really keep kind of showing your passion and grit that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask me.
I don't either.
It wasn't a question for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, here's another one for Hannah.
Oh, perfect.
Hannah, can you create an Instagram for your weird old toys? Also, how did you get into toys and end up at Mattel? Hannah used to work at Mattel.
I worked at Mattel and Hasbro with some jaunts at many other toy companies as well. It's not that I always love toys. I love stuff. I love really interesting stuff. But toys, have always been special. But they're not about antique toys for me. For me, they're about toys that have a specific either meeting, either I've worked on them or worked on the packaging, or I have some kind of emotional connection to them, like me and the Fisher-Price knobheads, or the Fisher-Price little people, because my mom has an entire room in our house devoted to them.
What?
Yeah, you should come over.
I'm afraid to now. I stayed at a
it's not
weird
that
hotel
weird.
once that had like a chest of dolls, and I thought I was gonna die there.
You should see her fucking aunt's crib. Her aunt
it's
has
amazing.
a tchotch, the game over tchotch. I mean, it's like some Hansel and Gretel.
Well, in my family, we have,
restaurant.
I don't know if it's just my family, but we do the saying of 2's a coincidence, 3's a collection. So once you have 3 of something,
then just go for it.
Then you're all in. Like, then you have to get every salt and pepper shaker. Yeah.
You're already being judged for having a collection, so you might as well have a real one.
Yeah, you might so Liz actually, Phil has the hot dog collection, the Yosemite Sam collection, the fake food collection.
This is her aunt and uncle.
The shoes collection, the doll shoes collection. I could go on all day.
There's all these are in like a 3-bedroom apartment in New York City.
But it's amazing. It's a beautiful wonderland.
Yeah.
Also,
it's like there's nothing on the floor, so you're not hoarding.
No, there is now. There's
shit on the floor now.
She's painted food onto the floor. It's beautiful.
Well, that's art.
So beautiful.
That's not hoarding.
Yeah.
That's art.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't
It's not
realize you were talking
hoarding.
about hoarding.
No, it's talking about how it's not hoarding. Because it's like everything
line
really
between
does have their
hoarding and
place, and you can see where the floor meets the wall everywhere.
And you can still walk around.
Yeah.
That's usually the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's a perfect
just
curation
intense.
of stuff.
It's very intense.
But seeing Matt's mom,
But it's like many
in that
collections.
You
apartment,
went there?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be really worth it.
Yeah.
I'd pay admission. I would watch that show.
It was my bridal shower.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
On.
Seeing my mom react to a room with an overwhelming collection would be the kind of thing that I think.
The first
Yeah,
time
there's
Matt...
nothing in your house that I've seen that would ever even come close to being considered that. Like,
No.
the pool table has the most of something in one
my-
area, and it
do my
has
parents
billiard
have-
balls on it. You
Do
know?
my parents have any kind of collection? Do
If
they
they're
collect
going by the
anything?
2's a coincidence, 3's a collection.
Pillows.
Yeah, a
Throw
lot of
pillows.
chairs that
Pillows
no one will
on a
ever sit
table.
on. They collect chairs that no
Brand
ass
new
will ever
conditioned
touch.
chairs. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, my mom has. We're counting. It's 3 or more as a collection, right?
Yeah.
My mom has, I think, 5 Hirschfelds.
No, I can only think of 2. The Law and Order. Hirschfeld's is what came to mind. Oh, they collect
there's
butterscotches that sit on the bar that they'll never eat. No, wait, but the first time Matt came to my parents'
Hard
house.
candy. That doesn't count.
The first time Matt came to my
M&Ms.
parents' house, he walked in and the dog, Walter, jumped up on Matt and muddied his shirt and took him down. And my mom, just casually said to Matt, oh, do you have pets? And Matt said, no, my mom really likes her stuff, which I thought was such a great descriptor.
This is true. Yeah.
Not us.
Not us. We like our cats.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would happily let all our stuff get ruined for the happiness of our cats.
Oh, like to have them scratch it and all
I mean,
Yeah.
not really ruined, but I don't just let the cats wreck shit if I see them wrecking shit. But I'm okay having furniture that's got a few scratches in it if it means we can have the fun we have with our cats.
I'm okay letting my legs fall asleep if it means the cats are comfortable in bed.
Yeah.
I'll just sit there forever until surgery.
Red Moped says, have we seen Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul? I mean, the fight hasn't happened yet, right?
No.
I saw that it's
Moved
happening.
to June 6th. I can't believe this. This is.
I'd rather watch Finn and Cricket.
I would too. You can watch Finn and Cricket, our two of our 4 cats fighting on my Instagram. But
This
if
is
Floyd
dumb.
doesn't win, this
shouldn't happen.
rigged.
This shouldn't be allowed.
Rigged.
You've seen the Great White Hype, right?
Yes.
Have you seen?
Long
You've
time
seen the
ago.
Great
Yeah,
White
we
Hype,
watched
right?
it with Amir.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is one of my favorite ensemble comedies of all time. And this literally is the Great White Hype, the movie. In this movie, there's Damon Wayans plays a heavyweight champion of the world who is just kind of getting
What's
lazy.
the car from that one that
The Merlot Broham.
the Merlot Broham.
It's got Damon Wayans plays a boxer who's just fucking lazy because he's beating everybody. He just doesn't give a fuck. He's gluttonous. Let's just call him a Floyd Mayweather-like character, but from 15 years before anyone ever heard of Floyd Mayweather. And then Peter Berg plays a no-name nobody that gets propped up by the promotion system to be the Great White Hype, and they basically just show the racial divide in boxing in a fucking hilarious way.
great.
And that I genuinely feel like I'm in that timeline. When I saw stupid ass Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather, I cannot believe that I am in the Great White Hype timeline. And if you haven't seen that movie, it is fucking hilarious. Samuel L. Jackson, Jamie Foxx, Jeff Goldblum, John Lovitz. Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. Fuck me. From who's the comic?
Yes,
Not
please.
Kevin Spacey.
Jamie Foxx.
Fucking the one who's in the Usual
Kevin
Suspects.
Klein, Kevin Costner.
No.
Kevin Spacey. Kevin.
No, who's the one from the Usual?
My
in the Usual
childhood
Suspects?
dog named Kevin.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
God damn it.
Kevin Pollak.
Pollock, thank you, and Peter Berg, and it's hilarious. And it's happening now. Watch that before the fucking Logan Paul fight. I promise you, life will never feel more surreal than if you sit down on June 6th, right before that stupid fight, and take 2 hours of your time to watch the Gray White Hype on a little bit of mushrooms, and then just go dive right into Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather, and you will be in that alternate timeline. I swear. Oh, baby, did you see there's a 47-mile Daewoo on Bring a Trailer? So we talked. I told some Hannah, Zach's looking for it, but I told people that you used to slang Daewoos.
Sure did.
And can you believe someone collected one and put 47 miles on it?
No reserve. I love it.
$5,000 right now, no reserve.
Do you think someone collected one or someone forgot they had
Someone
one?
found one.
Someone just found one.
Yeah.
How
collected one?
How did you end up slanging these shit boxes?
I was in college at the University of Rhode Island, and there was like someone at a folding table on the quad next to the people playing devil sticks and hacky sacking, and I think they were giving away like bags of M&Ms or something if you like came and talked to them. So I like an M&M, and I talked to them, and they were from Daewoo, and they were like doing this like university recruiting thing, influencing before there were influencers.
How many Daewoos did you actually sell?
2.
Hey.
And
how much time?
Was it a MLM scheme? Or were you just legitimately selling cars?
No, I was legitimately selling cars, and I actually, some of the greatest guilt I have, and Vanessa, Jax, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I sold one to my friend Vanessa, and I got like a $500 commission. And Vanessa, like why I didn't just give the $500 back to her immediately is like haunts me to this day. And like I'd love to say like I split it with her, but like probably selfishly
Weren't we
didn't.
just talking about what to do for her birthday? Something nice for her?
It would be hilarious if we sent her
But
like
should
a
we get her
tiny
this
Daewoo?
Daewoo?
like a sick.
Get a tiny Daewoo.
Yes.
Yes, we should buy her
Vanessa
this Daewoo.
needs this Daewoo.
We should buy this Daewoo for her.
And with just like an apology card inside.
Here, have a free Daewoo. I will commit to that ruse to a certain amount of money. I will, because it is that funny.
Well, since you didn't have to buy me a POW or that ugly rounded Delica to get the
People
full ruse.
think I bought the Mach-E to commit to the ruse, which was not true. We were going to get it anyway. But when Hannah started talking about being all depressed that I sold her car,
It wasn't depressed that you sold the car. I was depressed
that the car was
gone. The car was gone. I was sad that you sold the car in the middle of the night while I was sleeping and didn't let me say goodbye to it.
I didn't sell in the middle of the night while she was sleeping. I drove it to the shop at 7 a.m. when I went to work.
Nope, not true. Not true. Absolutely not true.
And I hid it for 3 weeks on the top of this quad back here that you can't see from the floor. I stashed it. I brought it in and I stashed it. And then we had Clinton. I had Clinton, who's one of my guys here at WCCS, drive in a rented Chrysler Pacifica. The total round trip was 2,780 miles. He drove to the Canadian border to meet a dude to get the parts to fix it. And he did it without, we had to do this without telling anybody. And we got the parts, and they were really, the body shop was in on it. It was a very fun process. But Hannah was like really upset by not having the car, and so she was looking at POWs. There's like, it's like a beach chair on wheels, basically. It's like those avant-garde.
Once Matt described it as a beach chair on wheels, I wanted it exponentially more.
And I was like, fucking, if she wants one of these things and I have to buy one, and I mean, she could buy her own, but if we have to buy one, to keep this fucking ruse up, and that means we have an extra Japanese car fucking around, so be it. Fortunately, I managed to, talk her down off that ledge for just, for long enough to,
I remember you were like, I hope this happens in time.
Right, and then when the Ford showed up, and because that wasn't supposed to happen until next week, but the Ford showed up a month early, and that bought us a little time, just a little bit. So, Kyle Mullen says, would you rather drive an Italian car to a French restaurant or a French car to an Italian restaurant? I mean, you're not going to like my answer. I'm not that into French cooking. I'd much rather eat at an Italian restaurant, and that's going to drive my decision here.
What cars are French cars?
Citroën.
Oh. Right.
If you want to go O to the OG, we can talk about Delahaye and weird, crazy shit like you'll see at Pebble Beach. But Renault is French.
Yeah.
Citroën is French.
As I asked that question, I realized I think I knew the answer.
Yeah.
I agree, because I think the French car, they always provide such a wonderful ride. And after an Italian meal, which will be large, you want to just almost lay down and be transported home. And the Citroën SM will do that. Yeah,
and I don't want to eat a bunch of heavy French food and then crawl back into my tiny Italian car.
Right.
Yeah. Kelvin says, is it worth getting a base model ND2 Miata over a fully loaded ND1 Club with Brembo BBS? Is the new engine that much better? Yes, it is. You can always get big brakes later.
Yeah.
You can only get your engine really now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because changing out your brakes won't void your powertrain warranty.
Yeah.
But changing out the engine will.
That's true. Joseph Taylor says, who was the first to poop in the off-road van? Well, the off-road van didn't have a toilet of any kind.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Continue.
The peanut butter looked a lot like diarrhea.
It really did.
If that counts.
Yeah. I would
Peanut
say
butter.
Laura Scudder took the first major dump. We stayed at campsites. And the campsites in and around Death Valley National Park had really reasonably clean places to poop.
They have pit toilets. Yeah.
They had pit toilets,
Yeah.
but they were the desert ones. Don't get bugs and shit.
They don't.
You know what I mean?
And
they're
it
pretty
wasn't
chill.
too hot because we picked the right time of year. It was good.
Yeah.
The first one, again, I had never done any of this before. So the first one we got to was at night.
Yes.
Fine. The next one, I think Zach had said, just don't look down. And in which case, of course, I walked in and looked down and nope.
You'd rather look at murder.
Yeah. I looked down.
MB is French. He says the hibachi set seems like a lot of fun. Was it? Yes, I can't recommend that high enough.
Not as fun as the Hitachi set. But.
Hannah got me a Benihana lesson for my birthday last year.
It was great.
Which was great. And then 2 years ago, right? Yeah, last year didn't happen.
It was a wash.
and then Vinny got me the Blackstone, home hibachi thing, the flat top, and that is fabulous. And that inspired at my new house. There's going to be a hibachi built into the fucking range. So we committed.
It's the best fried rice ever.
It really is. And the secret is just garlic butter.
No, the secret is making a lot of noise with the metal spatula.
You have to make lots of noise.
Yeah.
Yes, make it loud. Kawato wants to know, Zach, how did Hannah and Matt meet? It's like a quiz?
Yeah,
I
Zach.
guess.
How'd we meet?
Tinder.
Da-ding, cha-ching. Speed Greed 78 says, when you're in the UK, drive my 1 of 20 TVR Timar.
Yes.
I have literally never heard of that. There's very rare that you give me a car that I've actually never heard of. Is that called a Timar? Oh, I've seen those in America. I've never seen the turbo version. In America, I've seen these cars just listed as TVRs because I think
it was Porsche with a long snoot.
It's like a
like a
Datsun
Porsche.
Z. It's a
Yeah,
Datsun
240Z.
Z nose with a speedster on the back of it, kind
Pretty
of.
good looking.
Not bad looking. I've never seen the turbo, but I have seen those cars in America.
How well do we think that turbo engine works? This is from 77.
What are the odds you think I could fit in that fucking car?
I'm from 77.
Zero. Maybe
Just
we
saying.
You
don't
are
talk.
more reliable than a turbo engine from 77 and more powerful,
Yes.
probably.
Yes, both. Hannah's extremely powerful.
I'm flattered.
She fucks me up at the studio. She does the
Pilates studio.
I do the modified. That's for broken people. She does the advanced. That's for very strong people. Young Cotter's playing the long game with my wife on cars. Just got a Model Y. What do you think will be the best depreciated dad missile in 3 to 5 years for $60,000 to $80,000? RS6 wagon or Taycan Cross Turismo? I think those are both good options.
E63, man. It's got drift
Mercedes,
mode. Yep.
E63 wagon.
Yep.
Anything in a wagon.
Market 8, dude. E63 wagon. Yeah. Cat family question. How is the cat? The cats are excellent. Did you see my video on Instagram today? It's 2 minutes, 50 seconds of Finn versus Cricket with some decent commentary, really. Finn versus Cricket is really, it's really Cricket versus Finn, because Cricket is really just trying all her best moves, and Finn
white belt
fairly
versus black belt.
lazily gets to fucking just smoke her.
Well, Finn does the quintessential big brother move that John most definitely did to me growing up, which is where he just holds her at a distance and
face.
she can't reach him.
It's
Right.
the hand on
Yeah,
the face.
And then
John
you
did
swing
that to me
underneath the arm.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Finn's ground game is exceptional.
It just, no, that Finn lays down and is all.
Oh, sorry, I'm playing the Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul fight right now.
I'm telling you, we
how it's gonna
we
go.
could PPV this, dude.
Yeah.
That would be fucked
On the
up.
same night. Just compare.
Cat, I love our cat family. I can't recommend getting cats.
We are very, very lucky with our cat family that they are all nice to each other. Nikki's very cranky, but so be it.
Last question. Rob Flynn got a 2008 911 Turbo with 3,000 miles on it. How many miles do you think I can put on it before it stops being low miles? Well, that's a very good question. But plan on driving, but when will I cross the next level? That's
an interesting question.
Because I talk about the levels, right? Like a car that's like new condition, like less than 500 miles. Then there's like 500 to 5,000 miles, and then there's kind of under 10, and then the next level is kind of 20, and the value kind of dunks with those. So how long until it's like, I think you can definitely a 2008 Porsche with under 20,000 miles, because people drive their Porsches. It's not like I mean, unless you paid some astronomical price for that car, which you might have because the miles are very low. But I mean, anything under 20,000 for a 2008 Porsche Turbo is very low. And so I think you can, unless you really paid a super premium for that car, I think you could put 15,000 miles on it and still be considered pretty goddamn low for an 08 911.
Yeah, that's
low.
pretty good.
Yeah, that's low.
These came in. These will definitely be the last three.
Okay. You
You do speed round.
can you translate what this question means from Austin? Common LS swap trans 3.0.
What feels better, a 350Z transmission or a T56 for shift feel? T56. That's like the best.
T56.
Yeah.
I don't know about the best, but it's better than the Z. I would say the T56, especially if you're LS swapping the car, then just go all the way.
Right.
Chip Manuel owns a FRS and a Fiesta ST. If I sold both and got a Veloster and DCT, would that be a good or a bad move? Well, first off, do you want to drive stick or do you want to drive automatic?
There's a lot of variables that aren't addressed here.
A lot, and this happens a lot, baby.
Oh,
People
okay.
ask us about these kinds of stuff, but we don't really have all the information.
Well, like, why do you already own these two cars? I think that, you own a fast hatchback, and then you also own a fast a slow rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
So a Veloster won't give you what the FRS gives you. It will give you what the Fiesta ST gives you. It'll just in a neater package, and it's more modern.
Yeah. If you're tired of those two cars and you were going to sell them anyway, you know what I mean? Then combining them both into one better, newer car is not a terrible plan. Mm-hmm. It's an okay plan. Veloster N is a nice car. DCT works really well. I prefer the manual.
Likes the engagement of cornering as well because the FRS is not fast.
Right. Yeah. It prefers handling to
speed.
Outright speed. I mean, you don't have a rear-wheel drive car anymore, if that's the thing you're looking for, but it's faster. You know, it's more powerful. It's got all the connectivity. It's got the adjustments. It's more flexible, I think. Right?
Yeah. And he has a coupe and he has a 5-door right now, and now he'll have a weird 4-door.
It would be a good move unless you really love your Fiesta ST. Because if you sell it now, it'll be a long time before you'll be able to get another one again. You know, that's at the level of the one that you know. You know.
True.
And now we're really going, the end question. How do you spell the beach chair with wheels? It's a Nissan PAO, and that's a P-A-O. And it's basically kind of like a, it's almost like a mini moke. It's got doors. But
It's adorable.
Nissan made these two cars
The orange
in
one?
Japan only. One is called the Figaro, and one is called the PAO. Brian
it's-
from Regular Car Reviews had a PAO, and it looks like a, you know, it's like part avant-garde, part like mini, part yacht
Golf
tender, golf cart kind of thing.
But the Figaro is like novelty.
It's really, the Figaro looks like it's actually from the movie Cars.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
Figaro like is too far.
Mechanically, the
PAO
Figaro and the PAO are the same.
Right,
The PAO
and
is
the
just a
PAO is a
hatchback
much more
with a...
interesting car to drive. The Figaro is just silly. It's like the Thunderbird remake.
The Figaro is a weird and, in my opinion, ugly and not good car.
Novelty.
But the PAO, I think, gets right up against the styling of what people are into about those mini mokes and those weird Fiat 600
better looking than
Multiplas.
a
It's
mini
close
moke.
to
Yeah,
the
it's
Le
weird.
Car that I like so much.
I feel like you
Le
could...
George.
Yeah. And, you know, a great one is $11,000. I think they'd look cool as hell with the right wheels on. Oh, there you go. Of course, Speed Hunters. Of course. You can always go to Speed Hunters to be like, what would this look like with rims on it?
It's an adorable car.
It is. But not as adorable as your van. Not as useful as your van. And it's
Our.
not your van.
Our van.
It's your van. It's your van, baby. It's not our van. It's your van. I'll drive. I
Look
drive
at
it
how
once
nice
in a
that
while.
car. Maybe
No,
we should
look.
get a PAO also.
Heroin, folks. It's the heroin. Once she now has, you got a regular car. She's got the Mach-E that we're going to share, and now got a fun car. And now it's just what other fun?
now
What
it's just
other
what
fun
strikes my
cars
fancy.
can we get? Yup.
Well, once. Yeah, like my life is filled with attainable goals that I just don't attain on my own. And then, like, once that, you know, like I just want a matching bra and underpants set. Like, I could buy that. I just don't, like, I used to really want an encyclopedia set. I never got one. Like, thank God I didn't, because the internet was invented. But, like,
I give her permission to have the things that
Yeah,
she wants,
and
that
so
she
Matt-
actually works so hard to buy. You know what I mean?
Right.
yeah.
She's like an executive. Like, you know, she can her
You could buy a PAO.
the things she
But
wants
she
are
won't, but
pretty
you go,
reasonable.
No, you should just
No,
do
but
this.
Mac,
Yeah.
once
Okay.
Mac got me Smarty Bird, like this thing that I'd been searching for so long, like I didn't have that thing. And so I think I'm just looking, like I've
The
got a
next
void
thing?
to fill for like a thing to search for. And the PAO, I mean, that's the problem. A PAO, I didn't have to search that far. There's two available.
Yeah,
I could've
that's
just
all
chosen
all
the
she had to do was
colors.
call Sean.
True. Well, you found the Smarty Bird.
By the way, yeah, searching for
Right.
Hannah means I pulled up Sean's website and he has two of them.
No, don't talk to me.
Baby.
What?
And you do what field are you in? Research.
Research.
Right.
Yeah. Extensive, really extensive
Yes.
research.
And look, if you had something that you
Stop
needed
banging on
researched.
the table to talk.
Sorry.
Okay, radio.
Make a point.
Radio.
This is why John Stewart did this thing, I think.
yeah,
because
it's this.
it landed more
it's
softly.
This. It's my monkey. John. This is John Stewart's monkey knuckles. You don't know what that
What are
means?
the monkey knuckles?
When I
You don't know my pet name for
when
Mac?
I do this,
Munkles?
I know
when
you would stand.
like this. I
Yeah.
do this so that my wrist doesn't flex when I
Got it.
put it down. So I got used. What you can't see, radio people, is imagine doing a push up. Like after a while of leaning on stuff, my wrists started to hurt. So I would make a fist and put my fist on the ground, and Hannah would refer to that as monkey knuckles. And so
Because he would. He would like get down on all fours.
I would do the monkey. I would do that so it wouldn't hurt my wrists getting up. And wait, why did we just start talking about
I
monkey
don't remember
knuckles?
what we were talking
Why
about.
did we just start
It
talking
was.
about
I
monkey
was
knuckles?
very passionate.
Oh
about
yeah, because you were
something.
banging, and this
Right,
is
but-
John Stewart not banging on the table by doing
But
this
making a
spider,
point.
this making a
Is he
spring
the
with his
first
hand.
person who's done that? Or is he just known for that?
No, but
I
it's
just
really
remember
good
him
observation.
doing it in all of his interviews and stuff. He was always like, "But here is what is wrong with you, and all the terrible things that you do."
That's like a really good observation from you of a really professional broadcaster behavior from him.
Yes.
Because people come in here and bang on the table when they talk all the time.
Yeah.
And thank God we have this beautiful table and these great mic arms that make it so much better than it was.
But it still gets through if they really hammer it.
If you're just like super sloppy on the radio and just like smashing the table.
I am super sloppy as a person. I mean, there's no getting around
mismatched
it.
underwears.
I know. She's a messy hoe.
Underpants.
Brassieres is...
No, underwear and underpants. That's how you say that.
Underpants is like the word I would use if I was a 50-year-old mother buying underwear for my 6-year-old son. I feel like
It's
very
but it's
weird.
still the same.
That's where the Gen X divide comes in, dude. You and I are 80. You and I are 81. We don't get it. We just don't get it.
Underpants. This Victoria's Secret sells wonderful underpants. That does not sound right.
So that's our show. That's the whole thing.
Attainable
We're
goals.
gonna go home
Attainable goals.
and eat the leftover food from the last night we didn't spend in Alabama Hills. That actually was a little disappointing because the Alabama Hills are so beautiful.
Yeah.
We cut our trip short by one day because we got to the Alabama Hills too late to really get a good campsite, frankly. And then once we got there, it was raining and then probably blowing 30-mile-an-hour winds, and that we did have cell service, and we realized that was expected to be a sustained condition for the next 24 hours. And we were like, we could camp or we could drive home.
Yeah, we were only 3 hours from home. It would have been doing it just to do
No,
it.
you're forgetting the
Yeah, it
steps in
sucked.
between. It was like we could camp. Then it was like, well, we could get a motel for the night, come back and hike in the
True.
morning. And then it was like, well, let's have dinner first. And then it was like, fuck dinner. Let's all just drive home right now.
Well,
That
once
was
we learned
great.
that it was going to be cold and windy in the daytime
Yeah.
also, it was like, oh, well, then what are we going to do? Just wake up and drive home. So that doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I still feel bad for the hotel that we called and asked about 6 rooms for the night and then didn't show up.
Yeah.
Why are we getting 6 rooms?
Because
There are
you
5
called
people.
and I called
Oh, okay.
inquiring about the
Gotcha, 3
availability
rooms,
of
yeah.
3 rooms. And this woman must have been like, we're ready for you.
Each person gets their own room because we're sick of each other, and the dogs each get they'll
dog-
share a room.
Yeah. So shout out to Off Highway Vans. I think they're really nice people. I think they make a nice product. We gave them some feedback about the locking cabinets.
Yeah.
And they took it well. I think that
Look at that sink. Oh,
that's the same van. That's
no,
our
no.
van.
Do you see that sink though?
Oh, yeah.
It didn't fold in.
Oh,
that
really?
seems like it
Yeah,
would be
they have a
used-
couple different vans they built.
Yeah.
But
It was a great van.
it was, and the Sprinter off-road
comfortable
is a real beast. The fucking seats are so good in that van.
Great seats.
It was nice, but definitely, even if you're like, I want to build one of these fucking vans and I have the money and let's do it, like, definitely rent a couple of them first. You just don't, there's just shit you don't think of.
Yeah, because if
Until
you're
you go out
spending
there.
as much money as these cost to buy,
Yeah.
then you can afford to rent one for a
Yeah.
little bit and rent one from a couple companies or a couple specs, whatever you can do.
Yeah, and renting, and you can't just go on a test drive. I really rent.
And if
for a
you
week.
rent it, you don't really have to clean. Obviously, olive oil and peanut butter aside, you don't have to clean off like the mud right before you give it back.
I mean, I don't know what the rental conditions are. I cleaned off as much as I could
Right,
because
well, we
we
did.
didn't pay for it, and I thought that was a nice thing to do.
No, but I'm saying though, like, there's so many benefits. It's like the sales.
I don't know.
club.
The company that rents this van out is called Warner Sprinters, and they're out of Salt Lake City, and you can rent this exact van through them. This one we got from the manufacturer, Off Highway Vans, but they provide these to. It's called. Is it Sprinter Utah?
Maybe you can specially request
website?
the one that smells like peanut butter.
The website is sprinterutah.com if you want to rent one. What are the rates? I didn't even really look at what the fucking rental rates are. Go to camper vans. Let's see. I should have looked at this, but I didn't.
It's a nice website.
The Atlas, the Sundance Kid.
That was us, was
oh,
the
you have to get
Sundance
a
Kid.
quote. Oh, I don't know. You gotta write it in. We'll figure it out later. But you can rent one from them if you'd like to, and shout out to Off Highway Vans for giving us the van. And fucking Mercedes makes a really good product.
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. I'd love to try a Transit, but as you learned, they don't keep Transits in the press
They
fleet.
do not keep the vans in the press fleets.
Yeah. But that was a really cool trip, baby. Thanks for coming and talking on the radio again.
Thanks for having me.
You were very interesting on the radio.
Are you sure?
No.
Not going to beat me later?
Like I always do.
Like you always
Apparently
do when
you'll
I'm
win the
not
fight
interesting?
because you're in the advanced class in the Pilates.
Yeah, no, when I do the side
went
plank,
more
I
than
can
2
lift
rounds.
my leg up.
She's in the advanced class, but I lower the expectations of the instructors by
Wait.
being like, my back's fucked up, my knees are fucked up, my elbows are fucked up, and then I'm not as bad as they expect me to be, and then they love me.
No, the worst part about the whole thing though is, yeah, he knows what's coming.
Yeah.
Like Matt, it's all like, anyway, Matt is like big guy who's like, I'm not good at this, like trying things on the machine, and the instructors love him. Like, I am basically invisible. I'm like, look, I'm trying the advanced thing, and they're all like, whatever. And they're like, Matt, you're a star.
The
Matt,
ratio is
great job.
consistently
Matt.
3 or 4 good job Matts to like 1 to 1 Hannah.
Not
Set
even
low
one Hannah.
expectations.
And I got a follow-up email from the instructor this morning.
Saying
She
great
liked me.
job.
Yeah, just saying like, I hope to see you back. You did so great. She was about it. Right, baby?
It's
Can I ask a question? How many Matts are there in the class versus how many Hannahs?
I mean, there's 0 Matts. And then
Occasionally, there's one other man.
No, but it's
and that
not a
man,
Matt.
that man fucking lives in one of these vans full time.
Right. That's why they're so impressed by you. I think they want more of you to come in. And
Yeah.
also, Hannah, you're not special in there.
No.
You know?
I
They're like,
am a
oh, look,
dime
a
a
fit
dozen
white woman.
in there.
Great job. Really.
But I feel like
We've never seen one of them.
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're like, her boobs aren't as big as the others.
Baby.
What?
They are. The others are fake.
Sometimes.
We live in Los Angeles.
Sometimes. but like, their planks are so good. And they'll do 90-second planks, no problem with those fake
No.
boobs.
Yeah, but
Are they resting on the boobs?
But if you weigh like
no
90
hands.
pounds, doing a plank, how hard could it be? Try doing a 90-second
Scott,
plank
or they've been doing it longer than you.
When you're 260, try doing a 90-second plank. It's
I'm
hard.
just so proud of Matt in that class. Even the time he fell off the machine.
I did once. I fell off the machine once. It happens. There's a very inestable move, and it didn't work out for me.
Wait, is that the word for the
No,
move?
unstable. I just said that word in Spanish. I don't know why.
Inestable.
There's a very
Greatest class
unstable
of my
move, and
life.
I've seen other people fall off machines too, and I recovered okay. I think it was a little ugly, but
It
it's
was
fine.
in like slow.
You stand up and go, I'm okay.
Slow
You don't.
motion.
Yeah,
And they were like,
I
you know what,
kinda
Matt?
did.
Good job anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah. Maybe on your knees.
Here's your
till the
lollipop when
next
you leave.
one.
It's made of
Yeah.
kale.
You could hurt yourself real bad though.
Oh, yeah, with all the pulleys
All
and
the
ropes
pulleys
and
and
stuff.
shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it basically
Now-
like a total gym?
Huh?
Is that what the machine is? Remember the total
It's called a megaformer. And when the fucking pandemic hit, we were all fucking. We have to buy one. They closed the studio, and we learned they're like $15,000. I'm like, I guess we're not.
I mean, it's that or the POW, right?
It's that or the POW.
Now we just put 2 towels on the floor and slide our legs back and forth. And it turns out, samesies.
We'll be back tomorrow for the live folks with Brad Brownell, now the owner of flat6s.com. They bought it out. It was going to go under, and they now own it. And he's also writing for Jalopnik, and he's doing a bunch of motorcycle shit, and he's doing a bunch of EV shit. And Radwood, because he's one of the 4 Radwood boys, Radwood is back.
Yeah.
With he has a Wikipedia?
In July.
No, wrong Brad Brownell.
Okay. Yeah, he's
Who's
back.
that guy?
Radwood is back in NorCal. July, right?
Yeah, July.
Are we gonna go? Is there a SoCal or is it just a NorCal? 2020. 2020. You gotta
What would
update
we
your-
bring that would be new to Radwood? A POW.
What of our cars haven't been to?
The Ferrari hasn't been.
Yeah, actually, it was. The last owner brought it to
was?
Radwood, Atlanta
Oh.
in 2018.
Guess we're not going.
Guess we can't go.
Guess we have
Sorry.
to buy something new.
All right. Well, Brad will be here tomorrow, and he'll tell us all about the return of Radwood. So that's our show.
And if you want to see where all these adventures began for us, go watch
yeah.
our movie, All Cars Go to Heaven 1 and 2, available on Vimeo.
Yeah, you can buy both of them for $10. Yay.
We crash into each other. It's great.
Yeah.
I crash into Matt. It's great.
Yeah.